Hi there. In this video, I want to run through my recommended approach to creative planning on meta ads. So as you can see here, I've got a basic template or breakdown here, and the goal is to essentially outline all the different unique demographics that would be interested in your brand or your product. And then from a creative perspective, outlining each different content bucket that would associate to that specific unique demographic. And then obviously further info within that content bucket to actually go about recording that content or creating those specific ads. Now, the goal with this approach is to essentially create a once-off blueprint that you can use for your brand for the foreseeable future that essentially outlines every different creative concept and angle that you could possibly test for that specific brand. And that should be a good resource that you can keep turning back to when you reach stages of, running out of ideas, etc. So the basic structure that I use here is the following. You outline each unique demographic that would potentially be interested or associated with your specific brand, and then again, break down each content bucket that would associate with this unique demographic here, and then obviously break down more specific detail around the specific format that you plan to use, the hook or scroll stop that you plan to use for that specific video or specific image, and the relevant product USPs that would associate to that specific angle to obviously tie your creative to the actual product itself and how the product can benefit that type of user or that type of customer. So just to give a very basic example here, let's say for a brand like this, an example brand called CloudSack, they have, just say in this specific example, have only two demographics that would be associated with this brand. Let's say they have the outdoor chill area demographic that are looking to enhance or redo that aspect of their home. And then you've got, let's say, the indoor, more gaming, TV, Netflix type demographic as well. And this acts more as a sofa replacement. So example content buckets that would be associated with this type of demographic would be a UGC or POV ad, an example of a hook. I recently upgraded my lounge, and then the product USPs that are associated with this specific angle, obviously comfortable, easy to set up, etc. Next content bucket would be testing the product, because kids, for example, would be using this product. So is it kids proof if they jump on it? Does it flatten over time? Is it washable, water resistant, etc.? And those are all associated product USPs. Lifestyle positioning, could I find the right color that suits my interior space? Were there different size options, etc.? And again, there are obviously a lot more examples than this, but just to give a basic overview, same goes for the outdoor chill area approach. Now, obviously this can be very time consuming to, sit and think about all of these different aspects and break all of this down. And this is where, in my opinion, AI and specifically ChatGPT comes in handy, and they are particularly good at this side of the creative planning and strategy. So what I've done is I've built out an example prompt here that is linked in the video description below for you to have a look at. And it essentially breaks down an approach, just to minimize my face here, where you can essentially copy and paste this prompt. It pulls out all of the relevant info from your website URL. You just need to sub out your website URL and just place that there. And then it'll pull out all that info, lay it out for you in a breakdown. And then you can obviously just tweak that until you're happy. And then once you're happy, put this second prompt in here, and it'll essentially break down the creative planner or recommended creative approach in the same layout that I just went through in that example above, but obviously in a text format. And then you can potentially break that out into a kind of mind map style format like this example here that I built for a brand a while back. And again, should touch on, every single possible angle that is available for that specific brand. And again, a super helpful and super useful resource that you can use for the foreseeable future. So just to show you how this prompt would work and to go through an example of this, we can test this live. So I'm going to copy this prompt into an empty ChatGPT chat here and just replace out my URL. So I'm just using the CloudSack URL in this example. Again, not associated with this brand at all, just using this as a random example. So we can pop that into the chat, and then it'll obviously search for a while to understand that specific brand and obviously pull all that info from the site itself without you having to manually go and fill out all of that. So from here, as you can see, it pulls out all of that info from your store, and then, just give everything a read here and make sure that essentially the understanding of your brand is correct. As mentioned in the second section here, just correct anything that needs to be corrected in this breakdown, because this understanding then kind of gets locked into its memory with that second prompt. So again, just tweak any info that is off in terms of its understanding of your brand. as you can see, breakdown here, I've obviously in theory read through all of that, and now I'm happy with it and I want to do the actual creative planner itself. So come in here, copy that and head back to this chat here, paste that second prompt in there, and that should give you a breakdown of the exact creative format that you can then translate exactly or translate directly into a mind map format if you'd like, or just copy that straight into a Google Sheet or something to reference down the line. So as you can see here, memory updated, so it's locked all of that in, and then now it breaks down the different demographics and then the content buckets within each. And then from there, it will break down the obviously demographic, the content bucket, and then the kind of different individual ad angles within that specific content bucket, as well as the ad format, the hook, whether that being the creative hook, the image hook, or the video hook, and then the relevant USPs of the product that are related to this specific ad, because obviously we need to ensure that we tie the product to the ad that we're actually creating. And then that obviously breaks it down, or breaks this approach down for all of the different demographics across all of the content buckets. And this obviously goes quite a while, but this should essentially be all the different angles that you could possibly use for your brand. Again, it can be a good idea to kind of just pull that out and put it into a mind map format like this, because it is easier to kind of follow and leverage down the line. So yep, that's everything I wanted to mention in this video. Hopefully this was of value. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave that in the comments below. Hopefully you found some value here, and thanks for your time.